Welcome to the EmpowerHer Wellness Podcast. I'm Morgan, and I'm thrilled to be your host and wellness coach as we navigate the path to a healthier, more confident you. As the owner of Get Fit With Me, I bring years of experience in personal training, nutrition, and coaching to each episode. Join me as we explore practical tips and strategies for fitness, nutrition, mindset, and more, all tailored for busy women just like you. Let's empower your wellness journey and achieve lasting transformation together. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the EmpowerHer Wellness Podcast. I'm your host and coach, Morgan Ekovich. And today we have a special treat. We have a returning guest with us today. And if you are listening to this episode, this is actually part one of a two-part series that we are recording. And we had her back on a couple months ago now, episode 23, whenever that came out. And we talked about sleep more in a generalization of, okay, what's keeping us up at night? How can we make our environment a little bit better? What types of things should we be focusing on? In that last episode, we dove into a few different sleeping types. So the people who are the busy brains who can't fall asleep, and the people who fall asleep, but they have that 3 a.m. wake up that I think we've all kind of felt at some point. Today, we're going to be focusing on those busy brains. But before we dive in and get to pick Kelly's brain on everything, let me reintroduce you to Kelly Myerson. I found her in a Facebook group back this past fall, and since then we've worked together. She is my sleep expert. I come to her for everything. So welcome back, Kelly. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so pumped for this conversation. I just have to tell you all that sleep is my favorite subject to really geek out on when we're talking about holistic well-being. My role in life, besides mom, OT, which I've been doing for about 25 years, is as a voice amplifier. And basically what that means is that I help people who need to be seen and heard, who have big missions, but something that's stopping them from getting out there and using their voice, get their voice out there. And I have the pleasure of hosting the Mystic Nerd Squad podcast, which Morgan has been on, and she'll be coming back on soon. So I'm so excited for this. And I just want to also tell you all that I embrace fitness, and I'm so grateful to Morgan because I decided this year was going to be the year that I was going to make fitness something that was central to my health and well-being. And with Morgan's support, I have had so much success despite the setbacks that we have, getting sick, having a busy life. She has really helped me to find those ways to put fitness into a very busy life and actually enjoy it, believe it or not.
Thank you. I've enjoyed working with you, and I love that you and I work one-on-one together of not just, okay, I have a sleep question, or we're diving into sleep. Okay, you've got exercise questions for me. Like, we work back and forth, which I absolutely love. And I feel like we have a good battle rhythm of, okay, it's not a one size fits all approach. Just like sleep, just like when I work with a client, it's not one size fits all. Your workout regimen looks completely different than any one of my other clients. Same goes for our sleep. And I think we get caught in sleep all looks the same for everybody. We all go to bed. We should all have the same amount of hours of sleep. And as soon as our head hits the pillow, we should fall right asleep. But that's not the case. We've got those busy brains out there, which I'm pretty sure is what you called them in our last episode. And what are those busy brain type of people? Who would fall into that category?
Yeah, I love this. And I am a busy brain. So I'm calling myself out as much as anybody who's listening. So busy brain could be somebody who is having a lot of stress and anxiety that's either temporary or long-term. It could be people who are neurodiverse, ADHD, autism, again, that piece of anxiety, whose brains are moving at a very fast pace, and sometimes it's hard to slow them down. And it's also entrepreneurs, creatives, innovators, whose brains are just full of great ideas. And so sometimes that can be a barrier for them being able to downgrade at the end of the day and relax and be able to fall asleep.
And do busy moms fall into there as well?
Oh my
People
gosh, for
who,
sure.
okay. So
Yeah.
from what it sounds like, anybody who has a lot going on could fall into this category.
100%. Because life happens, right? And we often have a lot on our plates as women and moms. For you as an entrepreneur and managing multiple demands on your time and energy at any given moment. And so, yeah, moms definitely fall in that category, particularly working moms who are balancing jobs. And I find myself in that category. And then in the category of, and I also have other projects and things that are important to me that I want to be able to give time and energy to. So it can be really challenging to feel like I can get the most out of my 24 hours if I'm really trying to honor sleep and rest.
Yeah, because it's hard. That to-do list just keeps piling and so I am less of the busy brain and I am more of the 3 a.m. wake up. Like my head hits the pillow and I'm out, but 3 a.m. comes around and I've had to get in the habit of not looking at my phone and just knowing it's 3 a.m. You don't need to look at your phone to verify that it's in between 2 and 3 in the morning. So for me, sometimes it's the to-do list when it gets close to bedtime of, oh, I'll just finish this one last thing. I'll just finish this one last thing. And I think that's probably where some women struggle with falling asleep is all the things are running in their mind. Would you say that's correct?
Totally. Absolutely. I think that very often happens. Sometimes it's because we've just really put way too much on the to-do list and we haven't taken the time to organize, categorize, and really figure out what has to be on the to-do list, what needs to be on the to-do list for today, this week, this month, this year, and what are some of the things that can either be projected into the future or, guys, delegated. Give them to somebody else. Okay. That I think is one of the things that we do wrong. I'm going to say wrong. It's unresourceful for us if you want like a less harsh word, but it's thinking that we have to have all of our minds on top of all of the things that have to happen in our household, whether we have kids or pets or aging parents, and whether or not we have a spouse or a significant other who is taking some of that balanced burden. And I don't have to tell you the science behind this or the studies and stuff out there. You just have to go Google it and you'll find there are many women that are talking about this burden that is more heavily placed on women. And spoiler alert, sometimes we do it to ourselves because we want to have all that sense of control. So this is a multi-layered challenge, and it's not necessarily just about getting in bed and falling asleep, but it's about how we take control of all of the 24 hours of the day that we have and make sure that what we're applying our time and energy to makes the most sense for us to be able to prioritize our well-being so that we are available to take care of the other people in our lives.
I love that. And I have a sidetrack question that we're going to go to before we jump back into sleep. Only because I see this with my clients, I see this with myself, is we have this internal to-do list. We see all the things that need to happen. But sometimes to delegate, it takes work for us to put it on a list, to tell the other person how it needs to be done. So, from somebody who's feeling that, of you're right, I do need to delegate. Delegating needs to happen, but the stress of wanting to delegate is so overwhelming. What would you give somebody as advice? How have you managed to navigate that a little bit, whether it's a conversation or an actual strategy? And then we'll get back into sleep. But I feel like that's where a lot of people hang out is that I just see it and it needs to be done. It's easier to do it than to tell somebody else to.
Yes. One, just having the awareness first and foremost that you're carrying the lion's share of the burden in your home. Or maybe you're just at 75%. realizing that nobody's going to get it perfect. That's not what we're after. It is not physically possible to be the best mom, spouse, worker, housekeeper. Like, just keep layering those things on. It's not possible to do it perfectly. So I think number one, it's just accepting the limitations that we have in terms of time and energy and resources. And that, you know what? I was just telling Morgan before we got on here, I have been working at my dad's house, helping a transition and cleaning out. I've been doing that in my basement. And I sat down to do this interview and I look over at the other side of my room and it is full of stuff that needs to be dealt with. So listen, you go in my living room, it's gorgeous. My basement looks organized. My dad's house looks great. And my office looks a mess. And that is okay. So the idea that we're going to hit the end of the day and everything is done is not going to happen. So let's think about creating the daily priorities that keep your household running. And let's have conversations with the whole family. There is no reason why a mom should feel like this is all her responsibility. And we've also got to take that step back and say, I don't need to be in control of everything. So if I'm going to delegate, which is a huge, great way to do things, then I'm going to let go of the need to be in control of the quality of how that's done. All right. We're going to let go of the control over the quality of what is done. Done is better than perfect. Okay. So if your spouse, your kids are helping out and they do a job that would not be the job that you do, you're going to say thank you and you're going to let it go. Because we want to build the sense of everybody contributing so that when it comes time to have fun and play and leisure, when it comes time to rest and sleep, we all have equal access to rest and play and sleep. And not one of us is still running around trying to get things done. So one of the things that we've done as a family is we have literally talked about it. We've talked about one, sometimes the house is going to look like the bomb went off and we're going to go about our days and everybody's going to be fed and well rested and sleep. And when we have the time and energy, we're going to all work together to get it in a better place, which is something we did yesterday. The other part of that is what really has to be on that daily to-do list. If you've got kiddos, you're going to work, your spouse is going to work, kids going to school or daycare, whatever you have going on, everybody needs clothes. They need food and lunches, water, whatever supplies they need for the day. So the way that we look at the way our day functions is as much as can be done the night before for the morning, because none of us, maybe my husband's a morning person, but I am surely not. I do not do my best thinking and planning in the morning. My son is not really a morning person. So we do as much as we can in the evening to prepare for the morning. The coffee is all set up. The lunches are made and ready to be packed. Our clothes are already picked out. We shower in the evening. Everything that can be done so that executing the morning is as simple as possible. And if you run into those stumbling blocks, so if you have younger children, oftentimes younger children might have a little bit of a difficulty with the transition. If you've already done everything you need to do, and really you just need to drink your coffee, throw on your clothes and put your lunch in your bag to go, that is a quick get ready process so that you can be available for your kids for that transition in the morning. The other thing that I'll say is calendar. Get organized with your calendar. I am a total nerd. I don't have it in front of me right here, but I have a color-coded family calendar that goes on the fridge that is the same as the shared calendar in my phone between my husband and I, goes onto all our devices. We put everything in there as like a passive aggressive way to say, this is when we're doing this, because we don't always have time to like face-to-face communicate. So sometimes it's throwing it in and saying, hey, I'm doing this. Hey, I'm doing this. And then when we have a conflict, then it's okay. We have to resolve this conflict. But the shared calendar makes a big difference. And I like to organize the shared calendar. I like sitting with my erasable colored pens and writing everything in. I like doing a sticky for the week that's like really important appointments and things, baseball season, swim season. I got to get all those things on there for us so we know where we're going, who's driving, who's picking up. So, really being able to communicate and organize all that for ourselves so we know what's going on helps us so much to know, like in the ebbs and flows of life, when we have to be there to say, no, we really can't do that. That's going to be a no for us. We'll catch you on the next side. And those times when we're like, hey, we're available to do stuff, to go hang out with other people. But we really prioritize that running of our household. We do our laundry on the weekends. We really try to do all of that food prep, thinking what we're going to eat during the week as much as we can so that our week runs so much more smoothly. And we've already decided what to do. We've already decided dinner is going to be hamburgers on Tuesday. We've already decided I'm going to drive to baseball and pick up on Wednesday. All of that stuff is already decided. So we're not in the moment panicked about who's doing what.
Which kind of goes back to the busy brain. I'm guessing now that you guys have implemented this system, the amount of things that run your mind as you're getting ready to lay down at night have decreased. Doesn't say they've gone away completely, but you've set up a system to help. I feel like I heard this, and quote me if I'm wrong, or let me know if I'm wrong. I thought it was Obama that wore the same exact suit every single day. And it was because, not the same exact suit, but the same exact color, he had the same exact outfit every day because it was one less decision he had to make. And I am an advocate for calendars. I'm an advocate for a system. And all of that reduces that decision fatigue, which then makes that busy brain a little less busy at the end of the night. Am I also hearing that?
Absolutely. It really does. I think it just, and you can go as deep into this as you want. I'm a fan of mind dumping and time blocking, which I do a varied version, though I don't, unless it gets super busy, I don't use Excel to do it. But I have a whole Excel spreadsheet for organizing the things that you need to do and then taking and giving them a number. And I like to also nerd out and add a due date. And then you just run the formulas, it sorts it, and it tells you, populates the most important thing to the top. So when you're feeling overwhelmed, you're digitally using the computer to tell you what you should do first and what really can fall towards the bottom. If you have your dress you wore to a wedding a few weeks ago and it needs to get dry cleaned, but you don't even have an event plan for that, that's not like a high priority. That's like a one priority. When you got time, you're going to do that. But if you're miles overdue for an oil change, that's going to hit a level 5. It's going to go at the top and you'll be like, this is going to have to be something that floats to the top for the weekend. If people are interested in a mind dumping and time blocking, like they have Excel and they want to do that, I'd be more than happy to share that Excel file. They could just send me an email and say, please, I'd be mind dumping and time blocking. And I'm pretty sure somewhere on my YouTube channel, I can find that too. I have just a little tutorial on how you get that started. So if you're tech savvy and like sitting and handwriting things doesn't feel like your vibe, but you could sit there and implement into Excel and or get in Google Sheets and run formulas for yourself, it's going to make it fun and easy. Listen, it's got to be fun, guys. Am I right? Like
it does. It has to be fun.
Has to be fun. That's why I use my erasable color coded pens. That's why I do stuff in Excel, because to me that feels a little bit more like fun. So I'm more likely to do it. I also love to set the scene. So like on Sundays, I love to make my coffee, grab the calendar off the fridge, grab my handwritten calendar and my phone, and just sit and put everything together while I'm having my coffee. Maybe I'm listening to music, still in my cozy pajamas, and it becomes something that I can do to keep us moving forward. And it's also fun for me. Like I'm not sitting there, oh, this is so much work. I'm thinking, this is so great. Look at all these fun things we have to look forward to. And I don't have question marks about things. I'm not wondering what we're doing all week. And then I can sit with my husband, and we like to sit before we do grocery shopping for the week and talk about like, when are we going to be home and we're going to be cooking a meal, and what kind of quick and easy meals do we need to have available for us. So this becomes like running our household as a business, and
Yeah.
preparedness becomes like a very high value for us.
Which I think is so awesome. And that you guys run your household like a business. And I do this a little bit with my nanny family that I work with, is I meal prep on Mondays for 4.5 hours for them so that they can schedule for the week, so there's like some lifts that come in. So it may mean you hire help to help you with some of these things. If what you guys have created in your own household doesn't really calm any of that busy brain, it just adds more stress. Maybe you need to hire somebody to step in and to help you. One, maybe it's just create and work through the system. Maybe it's we've created the system and we just physically do not have enough time and you need that third set of hands. So I love that. And so let's pop back to sleep. And so we're busy brains. Why is it that even though we can feel so exhausted and run down by the end of the night, that when that head hits the pillow, we still can't just fall asleep like other people? What
Yeah.
is, we can have all the systems in place, but like, why? What's some of the background behind that?
Yeah. I think a lot of times, and I also want to say, I probably should have said from the outset, if you're really struggling and you're trying a lot of these strategies, then that is absolutely the time, if it's not working, to go check with a physician, because there could be a number of reasons. And whether it's somebody who's experiencing a heightened sense of anxiety and there doesn't really seem to be any lifestyle factors that are impacting that, or it could be hormones, it could be different levels in the body. I will tell you that when I was really struggling and I was thinking that maybe there was something else going on, I'm in my 40s, could be hormones. So I went to a physician, I did blood testing, we talked about it all. We talked all through the holistic possibilities. And ultimately, it was probably related to hormones diminishing because I was in perimenopause. So my results in response to that was to work with my doctor. And now I'm doing a lot of those natural things that kind of help me soothe and fall asleep, but I'm also doing hormone replacement therapy, because the hormones that your body is no longer producing have such a huge effect on your brain, your bones, your gut, your heart. Like the estrogen goes all over your body. I know that's a whole other conversation and we can definitely have that one. But I think for me, taking that time to work with a physician and not just assume that it was habits that I wasn't doing well or some other factor at play that was lifestyle involved. So I think that is a really important issue to make sure you address. Could there be something medically? And there are people who suffer from sleep apnea. Maybe you're snoring, maybe your partner's snoring. That might be a different issue. It might be a medical issue with them. But thinking about those as potential factors of why you're not falling asleep. But if you're truly somebody who's working up to the last minute, like you said, let me just do one more test. Let me do just one more test.
Scrolling.
Yes, it's scrolling. So we see these activities, scrolling in particular, being on the phone, the television, whatever screen we're looking at. We see this as relaxing towards the end of the day. We're sitting, but the impact that it's having on your brain is not calming, it's stimulating. So when we are going to fall asleep, the state that our brain waves are in is called theta. And you've probably heard of theta before, like you can listen to theta meditation. And it's just this very calming, soothing state, like when you start to feel that yummy, sleepy feeling before you fall asleep. And then delta, we've all heard that's when you're sleeping. So you have to get to that theta before you get to the delta. So right now, you and I are having a conversation. This is probably more like alpha. You're awake, alert, but you're not very busy and active. Beta is a step above alpha, and that's when you're moving your whole body, learning with your whole body, exercising, dancing, outside at a sporting event. All of those things are beta. And then above that is high beta. That's the highest. And that is stress defense. So if you're getting into bed and you're in a state of high stress, then it's no wonder that your brain is like, we're in stress, we're busy, we're in fight or flight mode. So we are nowhere near where we need to be able to feel calm and relaxed and fall asleep. And it doesn't really matter what is keeping us at those higher levels of brain wave activity and energy in our brain and body. But the things that will help us to tackle that involve that wind down time before bed. So really putting that separation. So I like to think of rest and sleep as besties. They like to hang out together. So I have a rest bookends for the beginning of the night before I go to sleep. And then in the morning when I wake up, those are my greatest periods of rest during my day. So I'm getting into that sense of slowness, of sleepiness before I even go upstairs to get ready for bed. And when I wake up, I'm honoring and giving my brain and body time before I start asking it to do heavy lifting tasks. It's become something that I look forward to, just really having that time to rest and recharge and not feel like it's work and then put my head on the pillow and try to make myself feel sleepy.
I think those are both really great reminders. Like, I thought I saw something a while back of our phones, social media is essentially giving our brains the same thing that a slot machine does. The bright lights, the color, the quickness, wanting the next thing, that how our brains react to slot machines is the same the way it reacts to social media and being on our phones and scrolling. So the fact if like when I think about that and I think about a casino in general, like there's no way I could fall asleep and take a nap there. There's no way. And if although the sound isn't the same, but if my brain is doing the exact same thing, no wonder I can't fall asleep. I've started reading before bed. I can get two sentences in and I'm out. Like I'm not the person who is I'm going to read for hours. No, you get me like two sentences in and that's enough calming for me and I am fast asleep. You mentioned people who like if they have tried a bunch of things and they are still struggling to go see a physician. What are some of the things that they should be trying first? And one of the things that I find at least when it comes to exercise, nutrition, changing our habits, is we all think we are consistent and that we are doing things on a regular basis when a lot of times we aren't. And our brains trick us into thinking, I'm doing it all the time. But when we track it, you're like, you did it twice this week and it was
Yeah.
not 7 days. So, what are some things that we should be trying before bed? And how long should we try them consistently before we realize it's not working? We need extra help.
Yeah. I think starting with asking yourself, is the quality, quantity of my sleep where I'd like it to be? And the way you know that, are you satisfied with the quantity and quality of your sleep? So do you wake up feeling like, oh, I feel great. I feel ready to tackle the day. If you do, awesome. That probably means you're getting enough sleep. And are you having enough energy to get through the whole day? Are you finding yourself crashing in the afternoon? And then we can go down the road of what are the habits that are either supporting or having a negative impact on the quality of your sleep. So things like caffeine, things like your level of activity, using screens too close into bedtime. The blue lights that we have, oh my gosh, they're everywhere. LED lights emit a lot of light, which makes it hard for your body to release melatonin. Our bodies are designed to rise when the sun comes up and to shut down when the sun goes down. So we can say right off the bat that it's going to vary depending on the time of year. During the winter time, if you're in the northern hemisphere, your shorter days, less light, you're more likely to feel like you want to hibernate and get cozy. That's normal and natural ebb of the seasons. Whereas in the summertime, it stays light longer. We want to be outside and we don't have that drive to go to bed quite as early, which is a big challenge if you have little ones, right? You're trying to give them consistent
Blackout curtains.
Yeah. Yeah. So in our 24-hour availability of the world lives, we're not necessarily giving ourselves enough of a break from light so that our body can do what it naturally does to get us ready for sleep. So one of the things you can do is when you get up in the morning, get natural light into your eyes, like stepping outside, no sunglasses, and just letting the light hit your eyes, not staring at the sun, obviously, but letting that morning light hit your eyes, because it's naturally going to set a little bit of an alarm clock to start feeling sleepy towards the end of the day when you'd be winding down and getting ready for bed. Other habits are being just way too sedentary, and your body needs a certain amount of movement, which obviously is your area of expertise. And if you've been sedentary all day and then you lay in bed, your body might be like, I can't fall asleep right now because I didn't get enough movement. So getting movement, fresh air, lots of water, nourishing your body well, all of those things are also factors that contribute to better sleep, and planning your sleep. So if your plan is to get 8 hours, 7 to 9 is what they've also always said about adults getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep, and then you fall somewhere in that spectrum. Now there's a little more curiosity and wonder about women and actually needing different amounts of sleep during their cycles. I say run the experiment for yourself. Give yourself a little more time. Plan for 9 hours, 10 hours of sleep. So that means if you're going to get up at 6, figuring out, okay, then I need to be winding down around 8 p.m. and falling asleep. So you're getting enough sleep and giving yourself time to fall asleep and be asleep, to go through all of those cycles that your body needs to restore itself.
So I'm starting to plan, and I've heard the thing about women needing a little bit more sleep as well. Recently, with some newer studies coming out, they're wondering if we need more sleep than men, especially during certain times of the month. But we're the ones that we typically, our listeners are women. So we've got those busy brains. It's hard to shut down. So I believe one of the things you said on the last episode, which I started doing, I've always done it, is I don't turn lights on in our house. It just like naturally gets darker. And then Mike will come home and he's like, why are there no lights on? I'm like, I don't know. It just gradually happened. I didn't realize it until like it was dark and I can't see anything. So like that, I remember you saying of if you're able to dim the lights in your house or use lamps instead of your overheads. Like that's really good to do before bed. But to get some of that stuff out of our brain, a brain dump, journaling, meditation, stretching, are there things that we should try? Magnesium, I feel like that's a spray I keep hearing a lot of, or lavender. Are those things that people should try, and will they help calm the brain for some people? Or is are they just a hoax that like, hey, it's out there? That's a myth. Just go try the new social media trend.
Oh, no, totally. I think definitely trying some of those natural solutions, giving, like I said about the light, going with lower, warmer tone lights that are not overhead and bright or fluorescent or LED is going to be a much easier transition. And you will feel yourself, imagine yourself, how calm you feel in a candlelit room versus being in your office with overhead fluorescent lights. Just a different vibe, right? So creating those vibes for yourself, doing with kids, it's great. 2 hours before bed, doing lower voices, lower lights, like everything is giving your body and your sensory system an inkling that it's time to calm down. And for some people, they just need more time to be able to come down from the excitement of the day. So giving yourself that time. So saying, let's give our family that 2 hours before bed to be preparing for the next day, to be laying out the clothes, everybody taking their baths or showers and getting in pajamas and reading books, having a cup of tea, like whatever those soothing routines are that light you up and work for your family, doing them. What I did as a mom, and this is something I stumbled upon because I didn't have a great sleeper when my son was younger, I went through the phase of like the struggle to get him to fall asleep. And I've done nothing for myself to prepare for the next day or for me to have wind down time. So then the stress of getting them down when you're like, I still have to do all the things I have to do for me and clean the kitchen. So we do all that before. So when I learned if I get myself ready for the next day, take my shower, get in my pajamas, brush my teeth. So literally the last thing I have to do is get him to bed and get me into bed. That was such a game changer for me. It meant that I wasn't as stressed at bedtime if he was struggling. I was able to be present, be with him for whatever he needed to really calm and fall asleep. And then all I had to do was walk to my bedroom and go to bed. So even if it was a little bit of a longer process, I was still already had taken care of myself. I put my own oxygen mask on first. That's like a real life example of how you do that. And putting everybody into the planning for how are we getting everybody ready for bed, making it a whole house activity. Obviously, I'm speaking more towards younger families because now we're in the phase of life where baseball games go from 7:45 to 9:45, which interferes with my bedtime. Thank goodness it's getting a little lighter out. If you
Same.
have older children, it's like a different level of time frame. And maybe you're going to bed before your kids even get home. When you have to figure out what works for you as a family and where you're at in terms of being aware of when your children come home. So that's been individualized more of an approach, but setting those routines for bedtime and relaxing and making rest something that is highly desirable, realizing how much we needed that. We realized that the most during COVID when we were home and everybody was working and learning from home, that we had to just stop the insanity. We didn't have to do every packet that we got from school, and really deciding this is the time that we're shutting down and we're spending time resting, relaxing, and away from computer screens. And it made such a big difference. Our bedrooms became like safe havens for us. There's no technology there, books, coziness, whatever we could do to make those spaces a respite from the world, we did. And it really had such a positive impact on our health and well-being through that time. So we've continued that on, and man, we're like rushing up the stairs when we get home and we're like, no other place to go today. It's time for cozy clothing. It's time for blankets on the couch, for family time, for reading, and really getting back to some of those things that just give us that experience of rest and a break from busyness of life.
I love that. And anytime I talk about routines, I always think back to as kids, we had strict routines of, okay, between this time and this time, you had to have your nighttime snack, brush your teeth, if you want to finish watching the show, and then you are in bed by 8 o'clock or whatever it is. And then somewhere along the way, we grow into adults and we think that we're too good for routines, that we're too good to have a set bedtime or a set wake up time. And really, if you are listening and you are in that younger stage and you're going through those transitions where you're just now leaving mom and dad's house and you're creating your own life, I highly recommend keeping as many routines as possible because it is so hard to reset them, restart them. Treat yourself like a child, like in the sense of, nope, I'm going to between this time and this time, we're going to have dinner, and then I'm going to have a nighttime snack if I feel like you don't have to call it a nighttime snack. If you do, go right ahead. But then you're going to brush your teeth. You're going to make sure you've got your pajamas on. You're going to shower. You're going to dim the lights. My favorite thing that you shared in the last episode was making our bedroom an oasis and making sure it's always picked up. And that when you walk in there, I got a lamp, I think, since the last time we talked. And I love it. Like as soon as I'm cooking dinner, I turn off the bedroom light and only the lamp goes on. And it's just such a great feeling that, yeah, it's brighter out now. And sometimes the lamp isn't necessary, but it just calms the brain and it gets us into relaxation mode and that exhale. And I think so many of us, we don't try to do those little things. And those little things really do start to add up over time. Just like when we work together, we don't start by drinking 90 ounces of water. We start by drinking, okay, how much are you drinking? Great. Can we add 5 ounces to that? For the women who are laying in bed feeling frustrated and hopeless of their inability to fall asleep, what is the one thing that you would suggest to them right now to try tonight after they listen to the episode?
I would say implement that wind down time for yourself and make it as joy filled as possible. Can you spend a little more time on your skincare routine? Can you take a shower, take a bath? Pick something that lights you up. So it's going to be different for every person. Or is it wiping the slate clean and making that bedtime routine as fast as possible? I'm going to use a washcloth and take off all my makeup. I'm going to brush my teeth and put my PJs on. And that's it. And then I'm going to sit and I'm going to read a book. What is something that lights you up and brings you joy? Are you going to listen to a book? And a lot of the digital readers, like a Kindle, you can put it either on, so the letters are white and the background is black. You can dim the screen, all of these different ways that you can still use that technology, but you're using it in a way that is not going to be too stimulating for your eyes and for your brain. Finding something that's going to make it enjoyable and setting the intention, being really intentional about I'm going to stop being on my phone by 7:30, whatever time works for you. I'm going to plug it in elsewhere. I say to myself, listen, if my husband and my son are in the house, nobody should be calling me in an emergency. They should be calling 911 if it's true emergency. Everything else can basically wait till the morning, right? And I think that's like choosing that as fact for your family. It's different. Like I said, if you have kids who are out of the house, sure, keep your phone nearby, but does it have to be next to your bed where you're more likely to grab it? Probably not. So I think these are simple and subtle ways that you're making the choice and the decision that your ability to rest and fall asleep is a priority and within your control. I want to just go back to magnesium. I take magnesium. It does work. Many of us are magnesium deficient. We're not really getting as much as we need through our diet. So I know through blood tests that mine is low. And so that's a supplement that I've talked to my physician about. And that's something that I take daily. And it does really help me to feel more calm and relaxed. It's not just for the falling asleep. It's also for the neurochemistry that helps us feel calm. So it can contribute to that. Other vitamins and supplements too. Your vitamin D, like when we're off balance and we're not eating a fully nutritious diet, or we're just not getting all the nutrition that we need to, sometimes those supplements are going to help our bodies. And that is where I say that's where you really go work with your physician, because you want to be choosing the things that are really going to make the difference for you. And it's so individualized.
For your magnesium, do you do a spray or do you do an actual like supplement tablet? What is your preferred form? And do you have a preferred brand that your physician has recommended that you know works well for you? All supplements work a little bit different for everybody, but do you have a preference?
I like let me see, I hope I'm getting this right. Magnesium glycinate. So that's the one that's better for sleep. I have tried the sprays. I don't enjoy them. They can cause a little itching and tingling. So I take capsules. I prefer like from an organic source. So they're organic. You can get them on Amazon. You can get them from the companies. Anyone that you feel like is sourced. I'm always looking at the ethicalness of where they're getting it, all of those pieces. So do your research. But the supplements, taking the magnesium is great. And I usually just take it like at dinner or shortly after, just because I find if I pair my supplements with my routines, I'm more likely to remember to take them.
Absolutely. And I feel like if the one you are taking is specifically to help with sleep, you don't necessarily need to take it in the morning. It's something you should probably take a little bit later in your day.
Definitely. Magnesium will make you feel a little bit sleepy, which is nice if that's the feeling you're going for. But like you said, funny enough, I've had interviews on my podcast and sometimes I'm recording at 7:00 at night. So I won't take my magnesium at dinner. And I was joking with one of my guests. I was like, I have postponed taking my magnesium for this conversation because I don't want to be too sleepy. And she was like, oh my God, me too. A lot of people are taking magnesium. Yeah. And I find it is a game changer for me. It does help me. It's good for your brain. And I feel like my evenings become a much more calm time for me. And it just is one of the contributing factors to feeling more sleepy as the day goes on.
I love it. So, as we wrap up our part one today, talking about busy brains, just all of those thoughts, we talked about some strategies to help bring it down. Is there any final thoughts or things that you want to share that we didn't touch on that you're like, I really wanted to make sure I talked about this today?
Yeah, I think we've covered a lot of bases. I think just to circle it all back, many people, particularly women, struggle with falling asleep. That's something that we can have seasons where sleep is more impaired. If you're a new mom, listen, I think I touched on this last time. Like, you're just going to have a season of really difficult sleep, and you're just going to do the best you can for yourself. And that is your priority: sleep, rest, nourishing yourself. But it is possible through holistic means to make changes to that. And I think the more you can become curious and less judgmental of yourself, the better. Don't judge yourself. This world is designed for us to be overstimulated, always engaged, hyper vigilant. You can choose, no, I don't want to be. Between the hours of 7 p.m. and 7 a.m., I'm not available for that. Like, I am going to be focused on what I need to do for my well-being and the well-being of my family. Be curious. Where are those little tweaks that you could change? And how do you make it more joyful to engage in rest and sleep? The dopamine hits are not as intense, but let me tell you, when you start to get better quality sleep regularly, when you haven't, you're going to notice a difference in your mental health, your physical health, your resilience, your ability to talk with other people. You're just the version of you that's available for all the things that are important to you in your life is going to be much more calm and available for problem solving. So making this a top priority for you is something that's going to serve all aspects of your life, not just feeling well rested in the morning.
I love it. Kelly, you are an amazing resource. So I know we're going to do part two here, and you guys can look for that next week. So if you're like, I'm not the busy brain, but I'm at 3 a.m. and I just listened to this, it's coming next week. It's not coming later today. Kelly, where can people find you, follow you? We will put it all in the show notes, but what are the best places for people to reach out to you and ask questions or get that spreadsheet that they're like, haha, I want that Excel sheet?
100%. You can find me on Substack. That's my favorite place to
Yes.
post, to offer all different kinds of advice. I actually migrated my whole newsletter onto Substack, which was actually a very easy process, which is super cool because it makes it so much easier for me to share content there. And I can decide whether things get sent into people's inboxes or I just post on Substack when they need to. So we'll make sure that paired with these episodes, there's a nice little post that tells you all of the best things to do. If you're a more visual person, you need the graphics, you need the details. And you can also find me on LinkedIn. If you're also an entrepreneur or business person, that's a great place to connect there, especially if you feel like this is content that is meaningful for your people. And definitely we'll put my email in the show notes because you can certainly email me if you're really struggling and you're looking for some more tips and tricks. And I would be more than happy to send or figure out how we can put that Excel spreadsheet into the show notes so people can just grab it and use it.
Yeah, I'm sure we can figure that out. We can either create some sort of landing page that then grabs it or and the other thing is I know you mentioned in the beginning that your kind of new entrepreneurship role of helping people find their voice. So if people are interested in that part right at the beginning, can they just email you as well? Is that probably the best way to learn more about that aspect of what you do in addition to the sleep?
Totally. And I can throw my Calendly link in there too if you just
Oh
want to
yeah.
schedule a free consult. I do free consults for sleep, for using your voice. I love to get to know people and help you problem solve through those things. Sometimes you just need a good listening ear and somebody who has great sleep on the regular to help
Yes.
you process through something.
Awesome. Kelly, thank you so much again. I really appreciate you being on. I'm excited to do part two. And one of the things that I heard her say, and I just wanted to reiterate it before we jumped off, is it is the choices that you are making. So if you are ready to make the choice to have better sleep, we can't do it for you. We can give you all the information, we can give you all the tips, but you have to take that step and you have to make that choice that you are ready. Same thing goes in all of our episodes. Don't get overwhelmed, pick one thing and start to implement. So, until next time, I will see you all then. Thank you for tuning in to the Empower Her Wellness Podcast. I hope you found today's episode inspiring and packed with actionable tips. Remember, your journey to becoming the strongest, most confident version of yourself is just beginning. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode and join our community of empowered women. Until next time, stay strong and stay confident.